Have you ever wondered if the love you're receiving is real? Not the kind that shows up in words for a moment, but the kind that shows up in actions, in presence, in sacrifice. We all long for that deep love, the kind that doesn't fade when times get hard, the kind that makes us feel safe, valued, and chosen. But here's the truth most people don't want to face. Not every smile means love, not every touch means devotion, and not every I love you is born from the heart. The world is filled with illusions. Many people get lost in sweet words, small gestures, and temporary attention. And because of that, they confuse interest with love, desire with commitment, and convenience with care. Deep down, though, your heart can always feel the difference. There's a part of you that knows when something is missing. There's a voice inside whispering that real love should feel stronger, safer, more unshakable. But most people ignore that voice. Why? Because fear blinds them. Fear of being alone. Fear of not finding someone better. Fear of facing the truth that maybe what they thought was love never was. Psychology tells us that the human brain craves belonging, even more than it craves logic. So when we feel a little attention, a little affection, we cling to it because our mind convinces us it's safer to hold on to something than to risk having nothing. But let me ask you, what's more painful, being alone for a while or being with someone who never truly loved you? The answer is clear, but the courage to choose it is rare. That's why this message is important, because if you don't learn to see the signs, you may keep pouring your heart into someone who is never willing to pour back into you. And in the end, you'll lose the most precious thing you have, your peace, your joy, and your sense of worth. Now imagine this for a moment. Imagine spending years with someone, giving your best, sacrificing, forgiving, hoping, only to realize one day that they never loved you the way you loved them. Imagine that empty feeling in your chest, that ache in your soul when the truth hits. This is not just heartbreak. This is betrayal of your own soul's longing. This is what happens when we don't learn the difference between deep love and shallow attention. That's why today's message matters more than you think, because in the next few minutes, you're not just going to hear about the signs of love and lack of love. You're going to uncover a mirror for your own life. You will walk away knowing whether the love you were holding onto is real or if it's just an illusion that's been slowing you down. And here's the reward for staying till the very end: clarity, because clarity gives freedom. Once you see clearly, you'll never accept less than what your heart truly deserves. Think about it. How many people waste their entire lives because they never recognize the difference between a man who deeply loves them and one who only pretends? How many souls are broken because they mistake consistency for control or desire for devotion? Don't let that be your story. The fact that you're listening to this means you already care about your heart. You already want the truth, and that truth, as raw as it may feel, will set you free. Here's the reality: a man who deeply loves you cannot hide it. His actions will speak louder than any sentence he could ever say. His love will be visible in how he protects you, in how he respects you, in how he values your presence, not just when life is easy, but when life is hard. Psychology shows us that true love ignites a deep sense of commitment in the human brain, almost like a survival instinct. When a man truly loves, he sees you as part of his world, part of his future, part of his very identity. That is why the signs of true love are so powerful. They cannot be faked for long. But here's the danger: the signs of a man who does not love you, they can often look like love at first. They can fool the eye, and they can trick the heart. For a time, they may even feel good, because attention, even shallow attention, can give temporary comfort. But as the days turn into weeks, and the weeks into years, the truth reveals itself. And by then, many people feel trapped. That's why it's not just important, it's urgent to recognize these signs now before they cost you years you can never get back. So as we move forward, stay with me. Because by the end of this, you will have a new kind of vision. You will know the two powerful, undeniable signs that a man deeply loves you. And just as important, you will see the 10 red flags that prove he does not. This knowledge is not just information. It is empowerment. It is strength. It is the kind of truth that will give you the courage to let go of what is not love and the patience to wait for what is real. And that, my friend, is the reward worth waiting for. Because once you learn this, once you carry this clarity in your heart, you will never again accept less than the love you deserve. You will never again mistake attention for devotion or comfort for commitment. You will know what is real, and you will hold on to it with certainty. And when you find it, you will finally feel what your soul has always longed for, the peace of being deeply, truly loved. Love is one of the strongest forces in life. It can build you, it can heal you, but it can also break you if it is not real. Many people step into relationships without understanding what true love feels like. They get carried away by excitement, by attraction, by the thrill of being chosen. But excitement fades. And when it fades, what remains is the truth. That is why it is so important to know the signs of genuine love, because the heart can be fooled, but actions never lie. When you recognize what love really looks like, you protect yourself. You shield your mind from confusion and your heart from disappointment. Human psychology shows that people often see what they want to see, not what is truly there. It's called selective perception. When we crave affection, we magnify every small gesture, convincing ourselves that it means more than it does. A late-night call, a few kind words, a moment of attention. We turn these into proof of love, when in reality they might be nothing more than habit or convenience. But clarity is freedom. To live without clarity is to stumble in the dark, hoping that what you feel is enough, hoping that the other person feels the same. To live with clarity is to step into light. You see what is real, you understand what is false, and you move forward with strength. That's why learning these signs is not about doubt. It's about dignity. It's about reminding yourself that your time, your emotions, and your life are too valuable to waste on uncertainty. Think of how many dreams are lost because someone stayed too long with the wrong person. Think of how many hearts grow cold because they gave everything to someone who never truly cared. Staying blind to the truth doesn't just hurt your present, it robs your future. Every day spent with someone who does not love you deeply is a day stolen from the life you could have, built with someone who truly does. Knowing the signs of deep love gives you confidence. It gives you power. It stops you from begging for attention, because you finally realize that love should not be begged for, should flow naturally, without pressure, without force. When you learn to recognize true love, you stop chasing, you stop lowering yourself, you stop waiting for someone to finally treat you right. Instead, you rise, you wait with patience, but not with fear. You walk with dignity, not with desperation. There is something powerful that happens inside of you when you know your worth. Psychology proves that people treat themselves according to the standards they believe they deserve. If you believe you are worthy of great love, you will demand it, and you will not settle for less. If you secretly believe you are not enough, you will accept half-hearted attention, thinking it is the best you will ever get. That is why understanding these signs is more than knowledge. It is a reflection of how much you value yourself. And let's be honest, love without depth drains you. It leaves you feeling empty even when you are not alone. You can be in the same room with someone and still feel invisible, because your soul knows when you are not truly seen. You can hear the words "I love you" and still feel unworthy, because words without actions are only noise. Real love doesn't confuse you. It doesn't leave you wondering where you stand. It doesn't leave you questioning your value. Real love speaks loudly through consistency, through sacrifice, through respect. So why does this matter so much? Because your life is too short to spend it doubting whether or not you are loved. You were created for connection. You were made to be cherished, not tolerated. When you know what love looks like, you will not waste years trying to convince someone to love you better. You will know the difference between being an option and being a priority. And that knowledge alone can change your entire life. There is also another reason. When you learn these truths, you set a new standard not only for others, but also for yourself. You begin to love yourself differently. You begin to respect your own time, your own energy, your own dreams. Psychology calls this self-fulfilling prophecy. What you expect for yourself becomes what you attract. If you expect little, you will get little. If you expect the best, you will not allow anything less to stay in your life. This is why awareness is everything. Without awareness, you walk into traps again and again, mistaking pain for passion, control for care, and attention for affection. With awareness, you break the cycle. You break the pattern that keeps you in shallow relationships. You begin to see clearly. And when you see clearly, you can finally choose wisely. Do not underestimate the power of knowing. Knowledge and love is not cold. It is not robotic. It is the very thing that guards your heart while still allowing it to remain open. It gives you the balance between hope and caution, between vulnerability and strength. When you know the signs, you are no longer a prisoner of confusion. You become the master of your own choices. And here is the truth that must be remembered. Love is not just about finding the right person. It is about recognizing them when they arrive. The signs matter because they help you separate truth from illusion, devotion from distraction, commitment from convenience. They help you save your heart for the one who will treasure it, rather than waste it on the one who never will. So when you learn to see with clarity, you don't just change how you view others, you change how you view yourself. You stop questioning if you are lovable, and you begin to understand that deep love is your birthright. It is not too much to ask for. It is not a dream reserved for others. It is real, and it will come. But only when you stop settling for less. Real love is not something that shows up every day. It is rare, uncommon, and precious. Many people spend years searching for it, while others mistake something else for it and end up disappointed. The truth is, deep love is not easy to find because it requires qualities that few people are willing to practice. Patience, honesty, loyalty, and sacrifice. These are not casual traits. They are uncommon virtues. That is why genuine love feels so powerful when it enters your life. Most relationships are built on attraction, comfort, or convenience. Two people meet, they connect, they share moments, and for a while it feels strong. But when the storm comes, when pressure builds, when sacrifice is required, the mask falls off. What looked like love turns out to be something else: desire, habit, or need. That is why deep love is so rare. It is tested by time and hardship, and only the real thing survives. Psychology explains that true love is linked to commitment, not just chemistry. Chemistry excites the brain for a while, but commitment shapes behavior for a lifetime. Anyone can be charming when things are easy, but only someone who loves you deeply will stay when everything feels heavy. Only someone who loves you deeply will carry part of your burden without making you feel like a weight. This rarity is what makes real love so valuable. Think about it. Gold is valuable because it is rare. Diamonds are treasured because they are not found everywhere. In the same way, deep love is priceless because it cannot be faked for long, and it cannot be replaced by shallow feelings. Once you experience it, you will never confuse it with anything else. But here's the challenge. Most people settle before they ever experience this kind of love. They get tired of waiting, they fear being alone, and they accept whatever attention comes their way. The mind tricks them into believing that something is better than nothing. Yet the reality is that settling for less than deep love is one of the greatest mistakes you can make, because it wastes your time and robs your spirit of what it truly longs for. There is a deep psychological need inside every human being, the need to feel seen, valued, and safe. That need cannot be satisfied by temporary affection or half-hearted gestures. It can only be met by someone who truly loves you in a deep and consistent way. That is why when you settle for less, you still feel empty even when you are not alone. Because deep down, your soul knows the difference between being tolerated and being cherished. And here is the reality. Not everyone is capable of loving deeply. Some people are too self-centered, too broken, or too distracted to give that kind of love. They may want the benefits of a relationship, but they are not willing to give the effort that deep love requires. This is not about you not being enough. It is about them not being ready or able to love at that level. And once you understand that, you stop blaming yourself for what someone else cannot give. The rarity of deep love means you must guard your heart carefully. You cannot give your energy to just anyone who shows interest. You must look closely, pay attention, and see if the person in front of you is truly capable of love that lasts. Because when you find it, it will not be shaky or uncertain. It will not leave you guessing. It will bring peace, not confusion. It will bring stability, not chaos. It will lift you higher, not pull you down. Think of the people who inspire you most in life, the ones who overcame, who stood strong, who built something lasting. Behind their strength, there is often someone who truly loved them, someone who supported them, someone who made them feel safe to grow. That is the power of rare love. It doesn't just make you feel good in the moment, it builds you into a stronger version of yourself. And here is something vital to remember. Because deep love is rare, it should never be taken for granted. If someone shows you consistent care, respect, and loyalty, hold on to it with gratitude. Too many people realize the value of real love only after they lose it. They chase temporary pleasures, only to discover that they had already held the most priceless thing in their hands. Do not make that mistake. If you are blessed to have it, protect it, nurture it, and never let it go. But if you do not yet have it, do not rush. Do not think you are behind. Do not compare yourself to others who may appear to have it all. Remember, appearances deceive. What looks perfect on the outside may be broken on the inside. Deep love takes time to grow, and because it is rare, it may not come quickly. But when it comes, it will be worth every moment of waiting. The human heart often grows impatient, but patience is the key. Real love does not come when you chase it desperately. It comes when you become strong enough to wait for it. When you stop settling for less, when you raise your standards, when you know your worth, you naturally attract what matches that worth. That is the hidden beauty of rare love. It arrives only when you are ready to honor it. So hold on to this truth. Deep love is rare, but it is real. And because it is rare, it is worth guarding, worth seeking, and worth waiting for. Do not lower your standards out of fear. Do not give up hope because it has not yet come. Trust that the rarity of real love is what makes it so extraordinary. And when it finds you, it will not just touch your life. It will transform it forever. One of the clearest ways to know when a man truly loves you is through his consistency. Not in what he says once in a while, but in how he shows up again and again. Consistency is love in action. It means his behavior does not change with his mood, his surroundings, or his convenience. It means he does not only care for you when it is easy, but also when it requires effort. When love is deep, consistency becomes natural because the heart cannot bear to neglect the person it values most. Think about it. Anyone can be kind for a day. Anyone can make promises in a moment of passion. Anyone can show interest when life is exciting. But it takes a different kind of devotion to keep showing up, to keep caring, to keep choosing you through ordinary days and difficult moments. That is the power of consistency. It separates words from truth, temporary affection from lasting love. Human psychology explains this well. When a man loves deeply, his brain links your happiness with his own sense of fulfillment. Your well-being becomes part of his identity. Because of that, he cannot simply disappear when you need him. He cannot ignore you for long. His actions are guided not just by desire, but by responsibility. And responsibility is one of the strongest indicators of genuine love. Consistency also creates trust, and trust is the foundation of every lasting relationship. When a man shows up consistently, you begin to feel safe. You no longer live in doubt, wondering if he will keep his word, wondering if he will be there tomorrow. His steady actions answer those questions without you ever needing to ask. That is why this sign matters so much. It shows that his love is not just emotional, but also dependable. Many people underestimate how powerful stability is in love. They get swept up in grand gestures, dramatic words, or intense emotions, but the truth is, deep love is rarely loud. It is steady, quiet, and unwavering. It shows itself in the small things done daily, the call to check on you, the effort to keep promises, the way he remembers what matters to you, the way he is present even when it is inconvenient. These small acts, repeated over time, are proof of a love that runs deep. Consistency does not mean perfection. Everyone makes mistakes, everyone has flaws, and everyone falls short sometimes. But the difference with true love is this. When he falls, he gets back up. When he fails, he corrects himself. When he hurts you unintentionally, he makes it right. His pattern is not neglect or avoidance. It is steady care, steady effort, steady growth. That pattern tells you everything you need to know. There is a psychological principle called investment theory. It says that people remain committed to what they invest time, energy, and effort into. When a man loves deeply, his actions show investment. He invests his energy in you, not just when things are exciting, but also when they require work. He puts effort into making you feel valued, not because he has to, but because his love drives him to. And the more he invests, the stronger his commitment becomes. Imagine the peace you feel when you no longer question someone's intentions. Imagine the freedom of not doubting whether he will still be there tomorrow. That peace comes from consistency. It is a quiet assurance that even when life gets messy, his presence will not disappear. That peace is one of the most beautiful gifts deep love can give, because it allows you to rest, to trust, to breathe. On the other hand, inconsistency always reveals the opposite. When someone is present one day and absent the next, when their care depends on their mood, When their promises keep breaking, the truth is clear. That is not love, because love is steady. Love does not play with your emotions. Love does not keep you guessing. Love is reliable, and reliability is built through consistent actions over time. Consistency also reflects respect. When a man respects you, he values your time and your emotions. He does not disappear without explanation. He does not treat you as an afterthought, and he does not put effort only when it benefits him. Respect fuels consistency because he knows that care without reliability is not real care. Respect without steadiness is not true respect. Think of a strong tree. Its roots hold deep. Its branches may sway in the wind, but it stands firm season after season. That is what love looks like when it is consistent. It may bend under pressure, it may face storms, but it does not break and it does not abandon. That kind of love gives you stability to grow. It gives you security to dream. It gives you courage to face life, knowing you are not alone. And here is what makes this sign so powerful. It cannot be faked for long. A man may act consistent for a short time to win your heart, but if his love is not deep, he will eventually show his true pattern. Patterns always reveal the truth. That is why you must look beyond the words, beyond the promises, and watch the behavior over time. Love proves itself not in a moment, but in a pattern. The greatest gift of consistency is how it strengthens both people. It builds a bond where doubt fades, where fear lessens, where trust grows stronger every day. It turns a relationship into a partnership, not just a connection. It turns love into a foundation that nothing can easily shake. And when you find that, you find something rare and priceless. So remember this, when a man truly loves you, he will not just show up once, he will keep showing up. His presence will not be conditional. His care will not vanish with time. His effort will not fade after the first stage of excitement. His love will prove itself through consistency. That is how you know it runs deep. That is how you know it is real. Another unmistakable sign of deep love is respect. When a man truly loves, he honors who you are, not just what you give him. Respect shows in how he treats your thoughts, your boundaries, your dreams, and your individuality. It is easy to admire someone when you want something from them, but genuine love goes beyond desire. It values the person as a whole. That kind of respect is one of the purest forms of love. Respect begins with listening. When a man listens with patience, without interrupting, without dismissing, it means he values your voice. He does not treat your feelings as an inconvenience. He does not brush off your concerns or laugh at your fears. Instead, he leans in because to him, your emotions matter. Psychology shows that active listening is a strong sign of emotional attachment. When someone cares, they want to understand, not just respond. That is respect in action. Respect also reveals itself in how he treats your boundaries. Everyone has limits, lines that protect their peace and dignity. A man who loves deeply will not cross those lines. He will not push you into things you are not ready for. He will not guilt you, manipulate you, or pressure you. Instead, he will honor your pace even when it requires patience. True love does not demand, it respects. It understands that forcing someone is not connection but control. There is also respect in the way he supports your growth. A man who loves you deeply will not feel threatened by your success. He will not try to keep you small so he can feel big. Instead, he will encourage you to rise, to shine, to pursue the goals burning inside you. Real love celebrates, not competes. It creates space for both people to grow side by side without jealousy or insecurity. When he respects you, he wants to see you reach your highest potential because your joy becomes his joy. Think about how powerful that is. Many relationships collapse because one partner feels unseen or unvalued. Without respect, love suffocates. Words may still be spoken, but the soul feels invisible. That is why this sign is so crucial. Respect gives oxygen to love. It allows both people to breathe freely, to trust fully, to feel safe enough to be themselves. Without it, love cannot last. Respect is also shown in small details. It is in how he speaks to you when he is angry. It is in whether he keeps your secrets safe. It is in whether he remembers what matters to you. These details may seem minor, but they reveal the truth of his heart. Anyone can act respectful in public, but the real test is how he treats you in private, when no one is watching, when there is nothing to gain. that is where respect speaks loudest. Psychologists often say that the way a person handles conflict reveals their true character. If a man insults you, belittles you, or disregards you when disagreements arise, his words of love lose all meaning. But if he still shows care even when he is upset, if he argues without cruelty, if he disagrees without disrespect, then you know his love runs deep. Because love without respect is not love at all. It is control disguised as affection. Respect is also about choice. A man who loves you deeply chooses to protect your dignity even in your absence. He does not speak negatively about you behind your back. He does not expose your flaws to others. Instead, he defends you, he covers you, he preserves your honor. That kind of respect is rare, but it is the kind that proves love beyond doubt, because when someone values you, even when you are not around, you can trust their heart completely. Think of the comfort that brings. To know that you are safe in someone's presence and just as safe in their absence. To know that your heart is not being played with, your trust is not being broken, your worth is not being ignored. That security does not come from empty words, it comes from respect shown consistently. And when you feel that kind of respect, you never have to question whether the love is real. Respect also connects to sacrifice. A man who values you will make adjustments, not because he has to, but because he wants to honor your needs. He will compromise, not grudgingly, but willingly. He will put effort into creating balance because your peace matters to him as much as his own. That willingness to sacrifice comfort for your well-being is another layer of respect that only deep love can give. And here is a truth worth remembering. Love without respect eventually turns to pain. You may hear beautiful words, you may feel temporary warmth, but without respect, it will eventually crush your spirit. You deserve a love that lifts you, not one that tears you down. You deserve a love that sees your value, not one that ignores it. You deserve respect, because respect is the soil where real love grows. When you find respect in love, you find a relationship where both hearts can flourish. You find someone who not only cherishes your presence, but also honors your individuality. You find a man who does not try to change who you are, but embraces you as you are. That kind of respect is proof of deep love, and once you experience it, you will never mistake anything less for the real thing again. So remember this, when a man deeply loves you, his respect for you will never waver. It will be seen in how he listens, in how he honors your boundaries, in how he supports your growth, and in how he protects your dignity. His respect will not depend on circumstances. It will not vanish in moments of frustration. It will stay steady because it is rooted in love that is real, strong, and unshakable. Love can be the most beautiful force in life, but confusion often surrounds it. Many people mistake interest, desire, or habit for something deeper. They believe they are cherished when, in truth, they are simply convenient. That is why it is so important to recognize when what you have is not love, because nothing destroys the spirit more than holding onto an illusion. When a man does not love you, there is a certain emptiness in his actions. You may hear words, but they feel hollow. You may receive gestures, but they lack substance. Your heart senses it long before your mind admits it. Something feels off, something feels shallow, yet fear keeps you holding on. Fear convinces you to believe the surface even when the depth is missing. Psychologists often explain this as cognitive dissonance, the discomfort of holding on to two conflicting beliefs. On one hand, you know something is wrong. On the other, you convince yourself it is right because admitting the truth would hurt too much. That is why so many people stay in situations where love is absent. They silence their intuition, they justify behavior, they lower their standards, all to avoid facing the reality that the love they hoped for is not there. But pretending never creates happiness. Pretending only delays heartbreak. The longer you ignore the signs, the more you invest in something that cannot last. And when the truth finally becomes impossible to deny, the pain feels heavier because you realize how much time was lost. That is why awareness is not cruelty, it is kindness to yourself. Facing the truth may sting in the moment, but it saves years of suffering in the future. When it is not love, the pattern becomes clear. Attention feels temporary, effort feels forced, and presence feels inconsistent. You may find yourself always waiting, always questioning, always trying to convince yourself that this is enough. But real love never makes you beg for the basics. Real love never leaves you in constant doubt. If you are unsure where you stand, if you are always hoping for more, chances are what you have is not deep love. And here's another truth. When someone does not truly love, their care often revolves around themselves. They may reach out when they need comfort, when they are lonely, or when it benefits them. But when you need the same, they vanish. This imbalance is not love, it is self-interest. A man who loves you only when it is convenient does not love you at all. The danger is that many people confuse excitement with devotion. They mistake chemistry for commitment. In the early days, passion can feel like proof. The brain releases dopamine, the thrill feels intoxicating, and you believe this must be love. But passion without consistency, without respect, without sacrifice eventually fades. And when it fades, you are left with emptiness. That is why it is so important to look deeper beyond the thrill into the steady truth of his actions. There is also a subtle form of non-love that many ignore: indifference. Indifference is when your feelings are not truly considered, when your dreams are not supported, when your presence is taken for granted. It may not feel like cruelty, but it is still a lack of love. Because real love notices. Real love cares. Real love is invested. When indifference replaces care, it is proof that the connection is shallow. Think about the way you feel in your quiet moments. Do you feel secure or do you feel anxious? Do you feel cherished or do you feel invisible? Your emotions are powerful signals. They reveal the truth more clearly than words ever could. If your heart feels empty even when someone is beside you, it is because something essential is missing. That emptiness is not your fault. It is a sign that the love you deserve is not being given. Psychology teaches that people reveal their priorities not through promises, but through patterns. If a man's pattern is distance, neglect, or disregard, then his words of love mean little. Love cannot be proven once. It must be lived daily. If you find yourself clinging to rare moments of affection, waiting for them like drops of water in a desert, then you are not in deep love. You are in survival mode. And survival is not love. The tragedy is that many people stay because they believe leaving will hurt more. But staying without love is what hurts most. Staying drains your spirit, breaks your confidence, and convinces you to settle for less than you are worth. Walking away may feel heavy, but it opens the door to something real. Staying in an empty connection only closes that door forever. When it is not love, you will always feel like you are asking for too much. You will feel guilty for wanting more attention, more respect, more care. But here's the truth. You are not asking for too much. You are simply asking the wrong person. The right person will give those things freely because to them, your happiness is as important as their own. So take this moment as a reminder. Pay attention to the signs. Do not silence your intuition. Do not excuse behavior that consistently hurts you. Do not confuse temporary passion with lasting devotion. Because if it is not love, no amount of wishing, waiting, or sacrificing will turn it into love. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you can free yourself to find what your soul truly longs for. And never forget, your heart was not created to survive on crumbs. It was created to thrive in a love that is steady, respectful, and real. Anything less is not love, it is distraction. Anything less will leave you empty. Honor yourself enough to know the difference. When a man does not truly love you, the truth is written in his actions. Words may cover it for a time, but behavior always reveals reality. If you pay attention, the signs become clear. They are not always dramatic, but they slowly drain your spirit, leaving you uncertain, lonely, and unvalued. Recognizing these signs is not about judgment. It is about protecting your heart and giving yourself permission to walk towards something better. The first sign is neglect. When your feelings are overlooked, when your needs are dismissed, when your presence is taken for granted, it shows a lack of care. Love pays attention, but neglect proves disconnection. If you constantly feel invisible, it is because he has chosen not to see you. The second sign is broken promises. Words without follow-through reveal where the heart truly stands. A man who loves you will do his best to keep his commitments, even when it costs him. But if he repeatedly says one thing and does another, if his apologies outweigh his actions, it shows that his love is not strong enough to guide his behavior. The third sign is selfishness. When every choice centers around his desires, when your needs are consistently placed last, it is not love. True affection creates balance. But self-centeredness tips the scale until you are carrying the weight alone. If his comfort always matters more than your happiness, his love is not present. The fourth sign is lack of effort. Deep affection motivates action. A man who does not love you will not try to grow with you, solve problems, or protect the bond. Instead, he will let the connection wither while you are left trying to keep it alive when you are the only one fighting for the relationship. You are not being loved, you're being used. The fifth sign is disrespect. It shows in the tone of his voice, in the way he handles disagreements, in the way he treats your opinions. When someone truly values you, they do not belittle or dismiss you. But when respect is absent, cruelty or indifference take its place. Disrespect is a loud declaration that the love you deserve is not there. The sixth sign is inconsistency. Love is steady. It shows up regularly, not just when convenient, but when a man's affection comes and goes, when he is warm one day and cold the next, it reveals instability. Inconsistency keeps you guessing, keeps you unsettled, and slowly erodes your peace. That is not what real love feels like. The seventh sign is avoidance of responsibility. Love makes a person accountable. When he deeply cares, he admits mistakes, he takes ownership, he works to repair. But when love is absent, excuses replace accountability. He shifts blame, denies wrongdoing, and avoids growth. Without responsibility, there can be no trust, and without trust, there can be no love. The eighth sign is emotional distance. Even when he is physically present, you may feel alone. Conversations stay shallow, intimacy feels absent, and your connection lacks depth. This emotional emptiness is one of the strongest indicators that he does not truly care. Because when a man loves, he invests not only his time but also his heart. The ninth sign is lack of support. A loving man wants to see you thrive. But one who does not love will show indifference to your dreams or even discourage them. Instead of lifting you higher, he may hold you back, either through silence or subtle resistance. Real love builds, but absence of love tears down. The 10th sign is conditional presence. He is there when it benefits him, when things are easy, when he wants something. But when life becomes difficult, when you need stability, he disappears. Conditional love is not love. It is convenience disguised as affection. If he only stays during the sunshine but vanishes in the storm, his heart is not with you. Each of these signs tells a story. Alone, one may be overlooked. Together, they form a clear picture of absence. And the danger is not only in experiencing these signs, it is in convincing yourself they are normal. Many people stay, believing that all relationships must feel this way. But that is not true. Love is not supposed to drain you. Love is not supposed to leave you doubting your worth. Psychology teaches that patterns reveal character. If these signs appear again and again, it is not by accident, it is by choice. A man chooses how he treats you. He chooses whether to respect you, whether to show up, whether to invest. If his choices consistently reflect neglect, disrespect, or indifference, then you are not being loved. It takes courage to face this truth. It is easier to hope he will change, easier to excuse the behavior, easier to cling to the rare moments of affection. But courage is choosing reality over illusion. Courage is recognizing when love is missing and refusing to accept crumbs when you deserve the feast. Never forget this: your heart is too valuable to be wasted on someone who does not see its worth. These signs are not just warnings. They are reminders that you deserve more than neglect, more than inconsistency, more than conditional care. You deserve love that is steady, respectful, supportive, and true. Anything less is not love. It is a shadow pretending to be light. Behind every empty connection lies a pattern rooted in psychology. What many call love is often something else entirely: attachment, habit, fear, or desire. To understand why people stay in relationships without genuine love, we must look at the hidden forces of the human mind. Because the truth is, what keeps you in a bond is not always the presence of love, but sometimes the illusion of it. One of the strongest psychological forces at play is fear of abandonment. Human beings are wired to seek belonging. From childhood, safety is linked to connection. So even as adults, the thought of being left behind can feel unbearable. When love is missing, fear of being alone convinces people to stay anyway. This fear whispers that even false affection is better than none, that even an unhealthy bond is safer than solitude. But fear cannot replace love, and the more you cling to someone out of fear, the more you lose your own strength. Another powerful force is habit. The brain is designed to create patterns, to find comfort in the familiar. Even when the familiar is painful, it feels safer than stepping into the unknown. Many people mistake routine for love. They stay because it feels easier to repeat what they know than to break free and build something new. Habit convinces the mind that staying is loyalty, when in reality, it is only fear of change. There is also the psychological pull of intermittent reinforcement. This is the same principle that keeps people addicted to gambling. When rewards come unpredictably, sometimes present, sometimes absent, the brain becomes hooked. In a relationship, this looks like occasional affection mixed with frequent neglect. The inconsistency creates a cycle of hope and disappointment, making you hold on tightly, always waiting for the next moment of warmth. It is not love. It is a psychological trap designed by the unpredictability of another's behavior. Another factor is projection. People often see not who someone is, but who they wish them to be. Instead of accepting the truth of their actions, the mind clings to the image of potential. You tell yourself, he could be better if only he tried, or this is just a phase. Projection keeps you chasing what is not real. But psychology shows us that love is not about potential. It is about presence. If the care is not there now, no amount of hoping can force it into existence. Then comes the human tendency towards self-blame. When someone does not love you the way you long for, it is easy to believe it must be your fault. You question if you are enough, if you are too much, if you are the reason the connection feels empty. This self-blame keeps people locked in relationships without love, believing that if they change themselves, they will finally earn affection. But true love is never earned by altering who you are. It is freely given by someone who values you exactly as you are. Psychologists also describe the scarcity effect. When something feels rare, the brain assigns it more value. If affection is only given in small doses, it may feel more precious than it truly is. You begin to treasure scraps of care, convincing yourself they are signs of deep devotion. But scarcity does not mean value. Just because something is rare does not mean it is real. True love is not scarce, it flows freely and consistently. Another psychological trap is sunk cost fallacy. The more time, energy, and emotion you invest in someone, the harder it feels to walk away. You tell yourself that leaving would waste everything you have already given. So you keep investing, even when the return is empty. But the truth is, holding on to something broken will never restore your lost time. The only way to honor what you have already given is to stop pouring yourself into a bond that does not nourish you. There's also the pull of social conditioning. Society often teaches that being in a relationship is the measure of worth, while being alone is failure. This belief drives many to cling to connections that lack love, simply to avoid judgment or loneliness. But true strength is not in being with someone. It is in choosing only those who honor your heart. Choosing yourself is not weakness, it is wisdom. At the root of all of this is a deep human desire for love itself. Love is one of the most powerful needs of the human spirit. It gives life meaning, it creates joy, it heals wounds. This longing is so strong that sometimes the mind accepts imitation for the sake of survival. Fake love is not chosen because it is fulfilling, but because the heart refuses to live without the dream of connection. And yet, settling for imitation will always leave you empty. Because your soul was not made to survive on illusions, it was made to flourish in truth. Understanding these psychological forces is the first step to breaking free. When you see the traps clearly, you are no longer controlled by them. Fear of abandonment loses power when you realize solitude is not emptiness but freedom. Habit loses its hold when you remember that change is not danger, it is growth. Intermittent reinforcement loses its grip when you see that inconsistency is manipulation, not devotion. Each truth you accept frees you from the chains of fake love. Remember, the mind is powerful, but so is the heart. And the heart always knows when something is real. You may silence it with excuses, you may bury it with fear, but deep down you know the truth. Real love never confuses, never drains, never belittles. Real love feels like peace. And until you choose to walk away from imitation, you will never experience the full beauty of what you deserve. Fake love is a mirror. It reflects your hopes, but never meets them. It keeps you trapped in longing, in waiting, in wishing. But you were not born to chase shadows. You were born to stand in the light of something real, something steady, something true. And that begins when you decide that illusions are no longer enough. Clarity is power. When you finally understand the difference between real love and its imitation, you step into a place of strength. Confusion keeps people trapped, but truth sets them free. The moment your mind recognizes what is genuine and what is false, you begin to see your own value with new eyes. And when you see your worth clearly, you no longer tolerate treatment that dishonors it. Awareness is the key that unlocks choice. Without awareness, you accept what is handed to you, believing you have no alternatives. But with awareness, you realize that every relationship is a reflection of what you believe you deserve. If you allow neglect or disrespect, it is often because you have not yet grasped how deeply valuable you are. The instant you know the difference between real love and counterfeit care, you awaken the power to say no to less and yes to more. This knowledge also protects your heart. When you cannot recognize false love, you risk giving yourself fully to someone who never intends to honor that gift. You invest your time, your energy, your soul, only to end up empty. But when you understand the signs, when you see the patterns clearly, you guard yourself from heartbreak. Protecting your heart is not about building walls. It is about building wisdom, and wisdom gives you the strength to walk away before damage is done. Another reason this knowledge empowers you is because it shifts your perspective. Instead of blaming yourself for someone else's lack of love, you recognize it as their limitation, not your failure. This change in thinking is powerful. It frees you from shame, from guilt, from the lie that you are unworthy. When you finally understand that someone's inability to love has nothing to do with your value, you release the burden that has been weighing on your spirit. Psychology teaches that self-concept shapes behavior. If you believe you are not enough, you will accept relationships that mirror that belief. But when you know the difference between real and false love, you begin to raise your standards. You stop chasing validation and start expecting respect. You stop begging for attention and start demanding consistency. And this transformation in mindset changes the way you are treated, because the world often responds to the way you see yourself. Knowledge also builds courage. Many stay in hollow relationships because fear convinces them they cannot survive alone. But once you understand that what you have been holding onto is not love, you gain the bravery to let it go. Courage does not mean you feel no fear. It means you decide fear will not control your choices. And when you walk away from what is false, you open space for something real to enter your life. This understanding also brings peace. There is nothing more exhausting than living in doubt, questioning every action, wondering if the affection is true or if it is just a mask. That uncertainty eats away at your spirit. But when you learn the signs, when you can clearly separate real from false, the confusion ends. Peace comes from clarity, and clarity allows your heart to rest. Another empowering truth is that awareness allows you to help others. Many people around you are caught in the same patterns, settling for imitation love because they do not recognize the difference. When you gain clarity, you can guide, encourage, and inspire others. Your wisdom becomes a light, showing them that they too deserve more than crumbs of affection. Your strength becomes an example that change is possible. Knowing the difference also transforms the way you approach future relationships. Instead of walking blindly into bonds, you move with discernment. You listen to actions more than words. You look for consistency, not charm. You seek respect, not just attraction. This awareness becomes a filter, protecting you from repeating old mistakes and preparing you for something lasting. With wisdom guiding you, your heart is no longer vulnerable to illusions. Most importantly, this knowledge empowers you to love yourself. Because once you see what false love looks like, you recognize how important it is to treat yourself with the care you have always desired from others. Self-love becomes your foundation. You stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to feel valuable. You stop seeking external validation to confirm your worth. You begin to give yourself the respect, kindness, and devotion you once begged to receive. And from that place of self-love, every other relationship in your life grows stronger. Remember, real empowerment is not found in controlling others. It is found in controlling your choices. You cannot force someone to love you deeply, but you can refuse to stay where love does not exist. You can decide to protect your heart, raise your standards, and walk boldly into the life you deserve. And when you make these decisions, you shift the direction of your entire future. There is incredible strength in clarity. When you know the difference between true love and false affection, You carry an inner confidence that no one can take from you. You no longer doubt yourself, no longer settle, no longer waste time on those who do not value you. You rise with a new mindset, a new spirit, a new vision of what you deserve. And with that vision, you will never again confuse illusion for reality. Because the truth is this: knowing the difference is not just about recognizing others, it's about recognizing yourself. It is about realizing that you are worthy of a love that is steady, honest, and real. It is about choosing to believe that your heart deserves the highest form of care. And once you believe this, nothing can stop you from experiencing it. Life always gives us choices. We can settle for what is comfortable but empty, or we can rise and demand what is true and lasting. Every relationship, every connection, every bond we accept shapes the story of our lives. And the story you are writing right now deserves to be one of dignity, courage, and authentic love. Think about this. Every moment you spend with someone who does not truly love you is a moment taken from the life you could be living. Time is the one gift you never get back. That is why clarity matters so much. When you know the difference between deep love and shallow affection, you no longer waste your precious time on what is hollow. You begin to invest only in what builds you, strengthens you, and helps you grow. You are not here to beg for attention. You are not here to chase after someone who cannot see your worth. You are here to rise, to shine, and to live a life where love feels steady and secure. The love you deserve will never leave you doubting yourself. It will not make you question your value. It will remind you every single day that you matter, that you are cherished, and that you are enough. The truth is, love is not complicated. People are complicated. Excuses, games, and half-hearted effort create confusion. But pure love is clear. It respects you, it supports you, it uplifts you. And when you finally experience it, you will wonder why you ever accepted less. That is why this journey of awareness is so important, because it clears away the fog and helps you recognize the truth when it finally arrives. Deep inside, you already know what real love feels like. Your heart has always carried that wisdom. When something is real, it gives you peace, not anxiety. It fills you with strength, not weakness. It brings out the best in you, not the worst. If what you are experiencing does not align with this truth, then it is not love, it is only a shadow. And you were not created to live in shadows. You were created to live in light. There is a greater plan for your life than simply surviving in relationships that hurt you. You were meant to flourish. You were meant to walk with confidence, with hope, with a spirit that refuses to be broken. And when you hold on to this truth, when you refuse to settle, the right kind of love will find you, because the right love is drawn to strength, to clarity, to authenticity. It does not arrive when you are hiding, but when you are standing boldly in your worth. Remember this: every ending is not a failure, but a doorway. Walking away from what is false is not loss. It is liberation. It is the act of making room for what you deserve. Too often people see leaving as weakness, when in reality, it is the highest form of courage. It takes strength to let go of what feels familiar, but is secretly destroying you. But once you release it, you step into a future filled with possibility. Do not fear being alone. Loneliness in truth is better than companionship in lies. When you stand alone in honesty, you are not truly empty. You are preparing the ground for something greater. Use that space to grow, to heal, to rediscover yourself. And when you rebuild from a place of strength, you will attract love that is whole, not broken. One day, you will look back and be grateful for the lessons, even the painful ones, because every tear, every disappointment, every heartbreak was teaching you to rise. It was preparing you to value yourself, to understand what real love looks like, and to never again accept less. Pain is often the teacher that pushes us toward wisdom, and wisdom is the foundation of a life filled with joy. So stand tall, let your heart be strong, refuse to settle for anything that does not honor your soul, believe that the love you deserve exists, and trust that it will arrive at the right time. In the meantime, live fully, grow deeply, and treat yourself with the kind of respect you expect from others. When you do this, you not only attract true love, you also create a life so rich that even without it, you are complete. The greatest power you hold is choice. You can choose clarity over confusion, strength over weakness, freedom over chains. You can choose to walk away from what drains you and step boldly into what fulfills you. You can choose to honor yourself, and by doing so, teach others how to honor you. This choice is your birthright.